Okay, this is our final lesson in Unit 1A, writing intervals in absolute value notation. Let's look at this interval from negative infinity to 3, not including 3, in union with 15, not including 15, to infinity. Well, we first must draw a number line and then put our valuable endpoints of 3 and 15 on the number line. Now what we need to do is we need to find a middle point. So we take 15, add 3 to it, get 18, divide that by 2, and we get 9. That represents our middle point. Our next step is to determine how many spaces 9 is from 15. In this case it's 6. And then from 9 to 3 is also 6. So therefore we're going to have x minus, when we have x minus h is greater than or less than d. Which one is it? Well, it's going to be greater than d because notice the intervals go to negative infinity on the left and positive infinity on the right. We start our absolute value, x, and we know our distance, since our distance between 9 and 15 and 9 and 3 was 6, so it's going to be greater than 6 away. That way, and greater than 6 away that way. 9 is our center, so we're going to have minus 9. So there is our absolute value equation representing the interval that we started with in the beginning. Okay, here's a second example. The interval from negative 3 to 15, including negative 3 and 15. Again, it helps to draw a number line and then put our values, negative 3 and 15, on the number line. Notice the values are from negative 3, including negative 3, to 15. Once again, we have to find whether it is going to be greater than or less than. So we think it's going to be less than or equal to, but we have to have less than or equal to some value from the center point. So we're going to need the center point. So we get 15 plus a negative 3 gives us 12, divided by 2 gives us 6. That's going to give us our center. So we write our equation, x minus the 6, and we're going to say it's less than or equal to. The equal to sign is there because we have brackets, so we know it can be equal to negative 3 and 15. And it's less than whatever the value is here, which we know to be 9. It's from 6 to 15 is 9, and from 6 to negative 3 is also 9. So let's recap what we need, the steps we need to do in order to write an interval in absolute value notation. We have to use the endpoints to determine the center by adding the two endpoints together and dividing by 2. We have to determine the inequality. If it's union, it's going to be greater than, and if it's written inside one set of parentheses or one set of brackets, it's going to be less than. And then we have to determine the distance from the center to the endpoint. So here we go with a final example. We have the interval from negative 2 to 12, not including negative 2 and 12 because of the parentheses. And so we're going to just take a shortcut here. We're good at this now, so we don't need the number line. So we're going to take 12 and we're going to add negative 2 to it and get 10. Then we're going to divide by 2, which is going to give us our center point of 5. So now we know we have x minus the 5, and since this is an interval with one set of parentheses, no union, we know it's going to be less than, because the values are between those two, so it's going to be less than, and then we ask ourselves how many spaces is 5 away from either 12 or from negative 2, and 12 is 7 spaces away from 5. And just to double check yourself, is 7 toward the negative side from 5, negative 2? And yes, it is, giving us our answer. Well, here we are. You should now be ready for assessment on Unit 1A. Good luck. See you in class.